So that when we were talking about going back to Atlanta, she uttered the magic words, "Have you ever been to Winter?" And I'd never heard of Winter. And then we came back up, we looked at houses, then we came back up for the inspection, and then we moved. So we were here. The third time we were in Winter Park was us moving. I love Winter Park now because I truly love Winter Park. I tell people I'm so jealous of people who grew up in this community because it fits me to a T. And Winter Park has such a wonderful history to it.
What's up, OFR? Thank you so much for joining me here in this episode. I have another resident here to tell you guys their story so they can give you guys ideas on how they did it and how they landed here in Central Florida. I actually met Clyde Moore in Instagram. So as you guys know, we are meeting so many people all over the place, Facebook, Instagram, and he actually focuses only on Winter Park, which I've worked in Winter Park, and I love that little neighborhood, that city. It has so much to offer. So I wanted to invite him to tell you guys more about his story when he relocated and also why he chose Winter Park, so you guys have more ideas of that location. Then if you have any questions, don't forget to comment. Also like this video so other people can actually see this video as well. And let's get to the interview. So Clyde, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm going to give it all to you. Tell us your story. How did you guys get here?
All right, I hope I don't get too down into the weeds with this. It's an interesting, complicated story. My life partner and I, in 2001, decided that we needed to leave Atlanta because hot Atlanta, it is not for us. It was too cold. We like warm weather. We thought about moving to California. We went and checked it out. We couldn't believe we were looking in the San Diego area. The houses that we were finding were so expensive, even for fixer-uppers. We actually made an offer on the property that we did not get, but soon thereafter, we ended up taking a trip to Fort Lauderdale on the Delta Escape Club. Living in Atlanta, you got great deals traveling. So we ended up in Fort Lauderdale, and we fell in love with a house. You know, we love Spanish Mediterranean architecture. We looked around, and we basically upped and moved to Fort Lauderdale because we fell in love with the house. I loved and adored our neighborhood in Fort Lauderdale, but I just wasn't crazy about Fort Lauderdale. So we were there for 5 years. We had some neighbors who moved into our neighborhood. When we were talking about going back to Atlanta, but we couldn't stand the idea of the traffic. So these new neighbors had lived in Winter Park. They had actually met here. She was a school teacher. He was a salesman of some sort. They had met in Winter Park. Then they had lived in Garden Hills in Atlanta for a while. That when we were talking about going back to Atlanta, she uttered the magic words, "Have you ever been to Winter Park?" And I'd never heard of Winter Park. I think maybe my partner had, but he didn't know it well. So we came up for the weekend. What was funny was our neighbors in Fort Lauderdale had started berating us for the idea of leaving. Oh, you're going to miss sunshine and palm trees and beaches. And there was definitely some truth in those words, but Fort Lauderdale just wasn't my cup of tea. And we had storms in 2004 and 2005, which were hitting us hard. And so we came and checked out Winter Park. Well, the people in Fort Lauderdale that had gotten so much attitude, when they found out that we were moving to Winter Park, they were completely disarmed. They were no longer negative. They were, I swear, each one to a T said, "Oh, I love Winter Park." And so I thought, what the heck? I mean, this is interesting that they are so changing, no longer this boasting about what we were going to miss and stuff. I mean, these people were familiar with Winter Park, and they really built up my anticipation. We had a couple that we were buying our house from here. Again, we had been here once. We came up, we came up for the weekend, Memorial Day weekend in 2006. And then came back up. We looked at houses, then we came back up for the inspection, and then we moved. So we were here. The third time we were in Winter Park was us moving. It takes a while to acclimate and get used to a place, but I love Winter Park now because I truly love Winter Park. I tell people I'm so jealous of people who grew up in this community because it fits me to a T. Winter Park has such a wonderful history to it.
Yes.
And the people who live here are connected to that history like no other place I've ever lived. And so I always say tons of people who grew up in Winter Park who never leave. And that's a wonderful testament in a to a community in the 2000s, because there's so much opportunity to go everywhere. Yet, I think the larger compliment and testament to the community is actually the people who move away and they end up coming back. I call them the Winter Park Boomerang. They moved to the first house my partner and I bought in Winter Park. We lived in it for about 6-7 months. It was a house that we knew we were going to have to do some things to get it where we wanted. And at some point we just decided, you know what, it's more work than we can do together because we get along in so many ways. Something like that, I swear we might kill each other. It just would not work out very well. Because we had moved so recently and moving is no fun, I told him, I'm just going to ease us into this by putting it on Craigslist. All right. I did that it was either a Monday night or a Tuesday night. The next morning, I had an email from a woman who talks like they're buying her. So, well, I just moved from South Florida, and I'm sorry, there's a flake factor in South Florida. So I'm thinking, oh, this is not going to happen. This woman, she's not for real, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even call her back until noon. Well, then they came to see it at 5 o'clock that evening. Looked around. Oh, we're going to buy your house. Yeah, right. Left. I hadn't even blown out my candles. And in 20 minutes, they called back, can we bring our parents? Because he had grown up in Winter Park and she'd grown up in Maitland. They had gone away. They had gone to like Boston College. They were living in Seattle. Here they were back within 24 hours of putting that on Craigslist. Here I am in the living room shaking hands on selling the house. It was crazy.
Yeah, Winter Park is
that sort of thing. Yeah. It's very Winter Park. That's a very Winter Park sort of thing to happen because they knew the neighborhood where they wanted to be, and now the house is fantastic. They've had 2 little boys living there. It's a very Winter Park sort of story.
It is. It's very warm. It's very inviting. It's very energetic. And there's so much nature.
There is. I had a meeting last night with Mayor Leary. He said, I think we have 13 acres of green space in Winter Park for every 1,000 residents, which is extraordinary. But, in Winter Park, we truly have benefited from the people who created the community back in 1885, late 1800s. These were people who, they had lots of money, and they could have just been interested in making more and more and more money, which, they did. But they also did things like donate to the city, Central Park. Our Central Park, like New York, but our Central Park, which is a good bit of space right there on Park Avenue. And it came from the same family that's behind the Morse Museum and the Morse Foundation, as did actually the Winter Park Golf Course, which is one of, I think, the top 5 9-hole golf courses, public golf courses in the country.
The country club, right? You're talking about the country club?
Yeah, well, they used to call it the Winter Park Country Club. Now
they changed it.
Winter Park Golf Course, Winter Park 9. So, and they had a large renovation of that space like 3 years ago. It really is. It's awesome. I like the feel of driving, from our house to Park Avenue and seeing all these people just out enjoying themselves, playing golf. This whole COVID thing has been difficult to deal with. And I'm walking down Park Avenue yesterday, and I see these 4 kids coming towards me, and their bikes are wobbling. And, as they ride, well, they're each grasping a handlebar and their phone in their hand. So but I loved it. It's like no mask. They're just out riding their bikes. Winter Park is that kind of community. I think it's a very safe community. If I had children, this to me would be the perfect place to raise them. Instead, we have dogs now who are sitting here behind the laptop, in their kennels, looking at me like, "Why are we being punished? Because you're bad." Yeah, so it really is. It's a wonderful community, and the people are so friendly.
Yeah,
I have never, ever had any situation in this community where I didn't feel like I wasn't completely and totally accepted. Actually, one of the new mayoral candidates sent an email to me the other day and said, "Thank you, I'm running for mayor and blah, blah, blah." And he said, "I thought I might need to get the approval of the real mayor of Winter Park." And I'm like, Oh, I'm going to use that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
just because with my social media, I interact with so many people. It's
It
awesome.
is.
It really is a wonderful place to live.
No, and you actually capture the good things. Like I actually wanted to find a part-time job a couple years ago. And I'm like, where do I want to work that's going to inspire me and give me just this energy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Winter Park. And I went and I actually worked at Pottery Barn for about 3 years.
Okay.
And I
That's such a cool pottery barn. It's awesome.
love. And
Yeah.
it's just the energy, and everybody would come, and they just remodeled it a couple years ago. And it's just so nice. If you guys haven't done Winter Park, you definitely want to, because on Saturdays they have the farmers market. Everybody's out very early in the morning. And then everybody's just shopping. I mean, right now, of course, everything's slowed down, but when everything starts picking up, it's just a nice area to kind of hang out. And just, even if you're going to go grab some ice cream, coffee, just walk around, walk with your dog. That's the type of lifestyle you actually find there.
Yeah, well, the Pottery Barn that you mentioned and that you worked at, it's such a cool space because it's the old Colony Theater.
Yeah.
And so it's got the 2 levels, and you can really walk in and get a sense of what the space was like. But I love when people tell me stories. I posted to I Love Winter Park recently a photo of the theater from, it was either the 60s or the 70s. And I love when I post things like that and people want to share, cherished childhood memories. What was funny about that one was so many of them would say, oh, we used to go to the movies to get the air conditioning, because not all the homes had air conditioning. Right. So they loved going to the theater at that time just for the air conditioning. It was awesome. But then, there was another iteration of that space back when, I forget what the bottom was at that time, but there was a bar upstairs, and it was called 2 Flights Up. So long ago, someone said that, while the official name was 2 Flights Up, lots of locals called it 2 Flights Up and 1 Fall Down. Because they would go and they would have very good drinks. But it is that connection of the locals to the community of the past, because they remember these places where they grew up. I've always thought that Winter Park is the perfect place for someone to start a small business, because people it's innate in who they are that they want to support these businesses. And you can tell about the way that they talk about these businesses that used to be here. There's one place called the Beef and Bottle. Have you heard of the Beef and Bottle? Locals, it's where Boca is now. It was. Before it was even Beef and Bottle, it was Artisan. So that's.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
That was the birthplace of the Winter Park Sidewalk Arts Festival. 4 friends gathering for lunch had this idea. So that institution in Winter Park was born in that space. Yeah. But then it was Beef and Bottle. And it was only in the last couple of years I realized when the Beef and Bottle existed and when it closed. It closed in the early to mid 70s. But there are people around that talk about it like it closed a couple of years ago. It's bewildering and awesome because they tell these stories. These people who grew up here. John Washburn, who's a good friend of mine, has Washburn Imports on Morris Boulevard and then out in the Village and stuff. But he tells me about going in with his dad, and his dad would have his Jack and Coke or something. He would get a shrimp appetizer. Just, it's one of his fond memories of being a kid. It's awesome.
Windermere also has that really, historical, and a lot of people that live over there as well, they're also native. So that's why I love like Winter Park and Windermere, but more like I know more Windermere because I used to work there. But of course, my favorite is Winter Park. It's not far. It's next to downtown. And I actually went over, I did a video on Baldwin Park, so people can actually see it. And I think my next one's going to be Winter Park. Go out there and take some really nice shots. Just to show people like the beauty of it, Also, I love tennis, and I will always find meetup groups over there too, just to go to the parks over there. Because like you said, there's so much greenery. So, and you get that energy.
Yeah. There is right near, I assume you play at like Azalea Park down there, the tennis court off of Minnesota. And then, right below there is Mead Gardens, which I go over often. I'll just spend, 2 or 3 hours and walk around and take photos of the plants. And then,
haven't been there for a while.
I like hitting different areas of the gardens at different times of year because right after the first of the year, the camellias are blooming over around. Have you been in the space with the kind of Greek statuary that's over
Yeah.
there, the women.
I haven't been there
And
for a very long time, but I remember that.
well, one of the things I love is people always get creative, and so there are all these camellia blooms that have fallen on the ground, and so they're always like decorating the statues, or they're doing hearts and pictures with them, and
Right.
like the Rose Parade and it's cool and it's beautiful, and it's just one of those silly little things that I look forward to each year. That I may not, it doesn't appear on my calendar, but I just know it's going to be happening, and so I just end up there and it's not.
Have you been to their like their movie night? I've been wanting to go to their movie night, but I've never been able to
I
go.
have
Have you
not been
been?
to the movie night over there. I've done the ones in Central Park, which are awesome.
Well, we have to make
And
plans
yeah,
for that. So you relocated from Fort Lauderdale. You sold your house quickly, so that's exciting. Did you find the house here quickly as well, or how was that journey?
yeah, we've been in the house that we are now, and it was a new construction at the time since 2007. I was realizing the other day this is the longest I have ever lived
In
in
a
one
house?
house in my entire life. But we love the area wherever near the Winter Park Y, during events when
Hmm.
the Winter Park Sidewalk Arts Festival is going on, or maybe like Christmas in the Park or something.
Right.
Sometimes I'll walk down there because we're 1.5 miles away,
Okay.
and so then sometimes I'll Uber or Lyft back. But yeah, it's a great area. And on this side of Winter Park, I think it's because of Phelps Park, because of the Winter Park Y, because
Yep.
of Craft Azalea Park, which is another beautiful area, talking about the green space. But there's so much over here, and so people just tend to be out and about a lot. Lots
Yeah.
of people riding bikes, lots of people walking their dogs, kids in strollers. So it's a very active area.
It is very
Grouping
active.
neighborhoods over here.
It's like if you don't go out where you're at, you'll definitely go out if you move to Winter Park for sure.
Oh, good. Absolutely. I mean, not as much people doing it this time of year, but
Right.
once the temps start to cool down, oh yeah, people are out and about all the time. But in the summer as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe more in the evenings and the mornings.
Yeah,
It's
and the
the
weekends
humidity
too.
factor, I think. Yeah,
I
but
know.
it's beautiful over
You get used to humidity though. You're like, whatever.
there. Hey, I will take 100 degrees over
Lows.
55 degrees
I
any
know.
day and every day of the week. I am not a fan of cold.
Me
Don't
too.
like it.
It's funny that you say that because I go visit my family up north and it's like, I'm just not used to wearing all that clothes anymore. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
so I don't go nowhere. I stay in the house and I watch movies and I look at the snow.
yeah.
But I don't know, like I like it, but not for a very long time. Like I don't mind walking out and just sweating to go throw out the garbage. Like
No, I think my skin likes it. It breathes.
it does. And it kind of gives you this energy. Like you walk out, you're like, okay, let me go back inside.
Yeah. Well, my feet rebel when I put those things called socks on them. They're like, what the heck?
What are
I
you
mean,
doing?
yeah, they're just like, once upon a time when we lived in Atlanta, we had a boxer, and I tried like the sweater on her, and I got it on her, and she
Like,
just, like, her
what?
eyes got really big. She suddenly just keeled over. Like, no, I can't do this. It's the way my feet are in socks. No, can't walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
You're
it's
like,
too
no.
constraining. It's like a straitjacket.
Right. You're like, take them off, take them off.
And she suddenly just keeled over. Like, no, I can't do this. It's the way my feet are in socks. No, can't walk.
Yeah. You're
It's
like,
too
no.
constraining. It's like a straitjacket.
Right. You're like, take them off, take them off. So how long did it take you to find a house here when you were looking? I said, you
When
said you.
well, we bought the one, after first visiting, but then the house that we're in now, we bought. I mean, basically, I just went out, started looking around. It's like, holy crap, we got our house sold, and I found this one on an open house. It's actually, we've owned 3 houses now in Florida, and 2 of them we have bought from open house. So
Nice.
people, open houses, especially in Florida, work. I just got my real estate license last year. So
Awesome.
open houses, people tell you that they don't, but I think they work more in Florida than they do anywhere else, because you get so many people that just come in town for the weekend,
Right.
and they're looking around. It amazes me how many kids end up coming to Rollins College, and then their parents so fall in love with the area, then they start looking for real estate.
Yeah.
It
That's so true.
happens. Well, hello, Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers. That was you know, what his parents did. They had the house over on Seminole, and he attended college here, and his parents bought a house. And in fact, I don't know now for sure, but his son, I believe, just sold the house in Winslow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you found your house. You've been living here for 3 years. So what are some advice?
No, we've been in this house for 13, and we've been here 4. So
14 years.
We just celebrated our 14th anniversary in Winter Park, actually, July 6th, because we moved here July 6th of 2006.
Oh, 2006. So this is your third
And we
house.
should have done it much sooner.
Right. You'd be like, I should have never went to a Fort Lauderdale. And I know,
I should have grown up here.
Right.
Yeah, I missed out.
It's okay. Now you ended up here. Now you can enjoy the rest of your life here.
Okay, are you familiar, because you're young, are you familiar with Married with Children from the 90s? Okay.
Yes.
Marcy Darcy, who lived next door, you know, the one with the very short hair and stuff.
Yes,
and
the blonde hair.
Like the Fright Night from the 80s and stuff. She grew up in Winter Park also. And several years ago, she did a talk at the Winter Park History Museum, and she grew up on Hinkle Circle, which is very close to Winter Park, and she told the story, one about going to school one day, and she just had this stick, and it was down the white picket fence, and then she came home that day, and she couldn't believe the stick was still there. Someone had to pick her stick. Such a stupid story, but I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that she told, which was amazing, she said that there were all these people and they lived on the lakes, and so the elementary school was over on Park Avenue where the Gap was recently.
Yes. Wait, did they close?
Yep. The Gap closed down. Yeah.
No.
They're going through troubles, and they closed. Yeah.
You just broke
Sorry to be the
my
bearer of bad news, but she said that like the kids would try to water ski to school.
Wow.
And she said that they could never nail the landing, and they'd always end up getting muddy and disgusting. And so then they always ended up going through the whole day in gym clothes because they had to change when they got to school.
And
I thought that's perfect. That's
right.
awesome.
It's like a normal neighborhood memory. Like, oh, we're just so close to home. Whatever, we'll be home in a little bit. Oh, I love it. I love going to the high school.
Yeah.
When my son plays basketball, I truly appreciate that gym. I'm like, this is so historical. Like, I love it.
Well, Winter Park High School, too, it's got about, is it 2,500 students?
It's very, very old.
But
it's beautiful.
The parents at that school, they do so many events and things during the year. I'm sorry, that sound was one of my cats. They do so many events to raise money for the school, and the music program there is amazing.
That school is great.
They do twice a year, and with the football team, they do something called Restore the Roar. That is it's like sort of a costume kind of event that they do with a theme. This last year it was Cowboys. Last year it was the 80s. I love that one. That was so much fun.
Yeah, of course.
It's emblematic of the community at large, and that you have people. I mean, it tends to be very old school and old fashioned, in that people are involved.
Right.
And I love that. I mean, that goes to more events, that goes to, more opportunities to meet people. It just really is, it's
a community.
To me, it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, I truly agree. Yeah, it is a very nice neighborhood, guys. Definitely. You guys have to come out and check it out. So what are some advice that you would, give our viewers? As you know, most of our viewers are not here. Like, what are some advice that you learned and that you would love to pass on to someone that's actually in the process?
Well, if someone is moving here and has a job, Orlando traffic is not Atlanta traffic.
Right.
But still, and because I-4 is being redone and stuff, I would highly recommend that you check out the route or where your location is and what makes sense for where you want to live. Now, because of Sunrail and stuff, if you can, there are lots of apartments that are up and down Sunrail. If you're working downtown, you don't necessarily have to live downtown or even be someplace that you ride. You could take Sunrail if that works for you.
Yeah.
But in Winter Park specifically, I always tell people when I'm showing them houses and such, Winter Park, when we were in Fort Lauderdale, there were all these canals that were coming out from the intercoastal and such. But in Winter Park, we have big lakes.
Right.
And so there are basically 4 ways to get from one side of Winter Park to the other. And so it is wise to consider the way that you want to get there and just live in an area where you don't get hit by. There are certain areas of Winter Park that, and I don't think any of them really have apartments, but it's just plan that. To me, that's quality of life. I think that to me would be the top consideration. But then it's also nice to be able to walk to things, to walk to places to eat. You were talking about Baldwin Park. They've got it, living near Park Avenue. Lots of these areas, being able to walk, to go out and eat drinks, meet people, to me is quality of life.
Yes, that you said it. You pinpointed quality of life is where you can leave your car.
It's just fun, especially if you're young and you're meeting friends and stuff. That's a biggie. Yeah.
Yes, I love
enjoy your youth.
Right. Yeah. And take your bike. And I've worked also at the city hall. I always want to say the core.
Down the other way. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I worked at city hall for like an intern, and what I loved about it, that I will go in my car. It would take me 45 minutes to get there, and the manager there, she literally would just come in with her bike, ding ding ding, with her little bell, and she would literally she would live like a block away from her job. And just seeing her driving home or driving to the office gave me this sense of feeling like, oh man, this is such an awesome place, Yeah. So yes, the quality of life, what you're actually looking for, if you don't want to be driving a lot, finding a location that definitely can give you that feel, just park your car and just walk or ride your bike. So yeah.
Winter Park is a great place for bike riding. There, a lot of the streets are very quiet. There's lots of ways to get from here to there and around. I love, if I ride my bike and I go down Palmer and I'm going down to Park Avenue and stuff, then I can come back the other way, and then I can even take Osceola Avenue as it dips down and goes around the lake and over to Mizell and Windsong. And lots of parts of the year. Well, I mean, the peacocks over in the Genius Preserve are oftentimes out and about, and so that's fun to see. But then, they're even more active certain times of the year, and when it's courting season, and the males are out there with their feathers and showing them off and stuff. That's very Winter Park. Hey, that's a bird.
It's unique. The peacock. It's yes. Awesome. And I see them around most. Like when you do see them, I do appreciate them as well. It's a great place.
They are beautiful, but I would not call the sound that they make beautiful. It sounds like monkeys in a jungle.
Right.
It's crazy.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoy Clyde Moore here. We want to get together. If I go to Winter Park, we can definitely get together and
let's have some wine. I'm always up for wine.
Yes. So where can people find you if they want to connect?
Look for me on Instagram. I love Winter Park, LUV. I love Park Avenue, LUV. My Winter Park neighbor, and websites for both I Love Winter Park and for my Winter Park neighbor. So yes, look for me there. If you want a house and not an apartment, I'd love to help you. I've got a listing over here on Sunset that's Mediterranean in my wheelhouse.
Maybe we could do a house tour. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Clyde Moore, and next week we will see you in the house tour. So don't forget to comment, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you can be the first person to get my videos. All right, guys, I will see you guys next week.